Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are fine and enjoying your chapters. So students, today we will start our chapter Poverty as a Challenge, chapter number 3 of class 9th economics book. So students, in this chapter we deal with one of the most difficult challenges faced by independent India, that is poverty. In this chapter, we will discuss the multidimensional problems through examples and the concept of poverty and the concept of poverty line and the causes of poverty and anti-poverty measures taken by our government. So student, shall we start our chapter? Let's start. So students, can you define poverty? Poverty, it may be defined as the inability to satisfy minimum human needs concerning food, clothing, housing, education and health. In our daily life, we come across many people who we think are poor. They could be landless laborers in villages or people living in overcrowded jhuggis in cities. They could be daily wage workers at construction site or child worker in dhabas. So students, here we discuss story of urban case. 33-year-old Ram Saran works as a daily wage laborer wheat flour mill near Ranchi in Jharkhand. He manages to earn around rupees 1500 a month when he finds employment, which is not often. The money is not enough to sustain his family of 6. That includes his wife and 4 children aged between 12 years to 6 months. He has to send money home to his old parents who live in a village near Ramgarh. His father, a landless laborer, depends on Ram Saran and his brother who lived in Hazaribagh for sustenance. His wife Santa Devi works as a part-time maid in a few houses and manages to earn another rupees 800. They manage a meager meal of dal and rice twice a day, but there's never enough for all of them. His elder son works as a helper in a tea shop to supplement the family income and earn another rupees 300, while his 10-year-old daughter take care of his younger siblings. None of the children go to school. They have only 2 pair of hand-me-down clothes each. New ones are bought only when the old clothes become unwearable. Shoes are a luxury. The younger kids are undernourished. They have no access to health care when they fall ill. Now listen, this is the story of rural case. Lakha Singh belongs to a small family near Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. His family doesn't own any land, so they do odd jobs for the big farmers. At times, they get paid rupees 50 for a hard day work, but often it is in kind like a few kilograms of wheat or dal or even vegetables for toiling in the farm through the day. The family of 8 cannot always manage 2 square meals a day. Lakha lives in a kacha hut on the outskirts of the village. The women of the family spend the day chopping fodder and collecting firewood in the fields. His father, a TB patient, passed away 2 years ago due to lack of medication. His mother now suffers from the same disease and life is slowly ebbing away. Although the village has a primary school, Lakha never went there. He had to start earning when he was 10 years old. New clothes happen once in a few years. Even soap and oil are a luxury for the family. So student, we study the above cases of poverty and Here we will discuss the following issue related to poverty. First is landlessness, second is unemployment, third is size of families, fourth is illiteracy, fifth is poor health or malnutrition, sixth is child labor, seventh is helplessness. These two typical cases illustrate many dimensions of poverty. They show that poverty means hunger and lack of shelter. It also is a situation in which parents are not able to send their children to school, or a situation where sick people cannot afford treatment. So students, here we will discuss poverty as seen by social scientists. Usually the indicators used related to the level of income and consumption. But now poverty is looked through other social indicators like illiteracy level, lack of general resistance due to malnutrition, lack of access to health care, lack of job opportunities, lack of access to safe drinking water, sanitation, etc. Analysis of poverty based on social exclusion and vulnerability is now becoming very common. Social exclusion. According to this concept, poverty must be seen in terms of the poor having to live only in a poor surroundings with other poor people, excluded from enjoying social equality of better off people in better surroundings. Social exclusion can be both a cause as well as a consequences of poverty in the usual sense. A typical example is the working of the caste system in India, in which people belonging to certain caste are excluded from equal opportunities. Social exclusion thus may lead to but can cause more damage than having a very low income. So student, here we will discuss vulnerability. Vulnerability to poverty is a measure which describes the greater probability of certain communities, say member of backward classes or individual such as widow or physical handicapped person, of becoming or remaining poor in the coming years. Further, it is analyzed on the basis of the greater risk these groups face at the time of natural disaster, earthquakes, tsunami, terrorism, etc. Additional analysis is made of their social and economic ability to handle these risks. So student, here we discuss 2 points, social exclusion and vulnerability. We see poverty as seen by social scientists. Now we will discuss poverty line. A common method used to measure poverty is based on the income or consumption levels. A person is considered poor if his or her income or consumption level falls below a given minimum level necessary to fulfill the basic needs. Poverty line may vary with time and place. For example, a person not having a car in the United States may be considered poor. In India, owning of a car is still considered a luxury. While determining the poverty line in India, a minimum level of food requirement, clothing, footwear, fuel and light, educational and medical requirement, etc. are determined for subsistence. The present formula for food requirement while estimating the poverty line is based on the desired calorie requirement. The calorie need vary depending on age, sex and the type of works that a person does. The accepted average calorie requirement in India is 2400 calories per person per day in rural area and 2100 calories per person per day in urban area. Since people living in rural areas engage themselves in more physical work, calorie requirement in rural area are considered to be higher than in urban area. On the basis of these calculations, for the year 2011 and 12, the poverty line of a person was fixed at rupees 816 per month for rural areas and rupees 1000 for urban areas. Despite less calorie requirement, the highest amount for urban area has been fixed because of high price of many essential products in urban center. In this way, in the year 2011 and 12, a family of 5 members living in rural area and earning less than about rupees 4080 per month will be below the poverty line. A similar family in the urban areas would need a minimum of rupees 5000 per month to meet their basic requirements. The poverty line is estimated periodically by conducted sample survey, normally every 5 years. These surveys are carried out by the National Sample Survey Organization NSSO. However, for making comparison between developing countries, many international organizations like the World Bank use a uniform standard for the poverty line minimum availability of the equivalent of $1.90 per person per day. So students, now we will discuss vulnerable groups. Social groups which are most vulnerable to poverty are scheduled caste and scheduled tribes households. Similarly, among the economic group, the most vulnerable group are the rural agriculture labor households and the urban casual labor households. Here, graph 3.1 show the percentage of poor people in all these groups. Although the average for people below poverty line for all groups in India is 2243 out of 100 people belonging to scheduled tribes are not able to meet their basic needs. Similarly, 34% of casual workers in urban areas are below poverty line. About 34% of casual labor farm in rural area and 29% of scheduled caste are also poor. The double disadvantage of being a landless casual wage labor household in the socially disadvantaged social groups of the scheduled caste or the scheduled tribe population highlights the seriousness of the problem. So students, here we will discuss interstate disparities. The proportion of poor people is not the same in every state. As the graph 3.2 show, Bihar and Odisha continue to be the two poorest states with poverty ratio of 33.7 and 32.6% respectively. Along with rural poverty, urban poverty is also high in Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. In comparison, there has been a significant decline in poverty in Kerala, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and West Bengal. States like Punjab and Haryana have traditionally succeeded in reducing poverty with the help of high agricultural growth rate. Kerala also focused more on human resource development. In West Bengal, land reform measures have helped in reducing poverty. In Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, public distribution of food grain could have been responsible for the improvement. So student, here we discussed interstate disparity. Now we will discuss global poverty scenario. Students, poverty declined substantially in China and Southeast Asian countries as a result of rapid economic growth and massive investments in human resource development. In sub-Saharan Africa, poverty in fact declined from 51% in 2005 to 41% in 2015. In Latin America, the ratio of poverty has also declined from 10% in 2005 to 4% in 2015. See graph 3.3. Poverty has also resurfaced in some of the former socialist countries like Russia, where officially it was non-existent earlier. So student, here we will discuss causes of poverty. First is historical reason. Historical reason is the low level of economic development under the British colonial administration. The policies of colonial government run traditional handicrafts and discouraged development of industries like textile. Second is with the spread of irrigation and the green revolution, many job opportunities were created in the agriculture sector, but the effects were limited to some part of India. The industries both in the public and the private sector did provide some jobs, but these were not enough to absorb all the job seeker. Unable to find proper jobs in cities, many people started working rickshaw puller, vendors, construction worker, domestic servants, etc. With irregular small income, these people could not afford expensive housing. They started living in slum on the outskirts of the cities, and the problems of poverty, largely a rural phenomena, also became the feature of urban sector. Third is huge income inequalities. One of the major reasons for this is the unequal distribution of land and other resources. Major policies, initiatives like land reform which aimed at redistribution of assets in rural areas have not been implemented properly and effectively by most of the state governments. Since lack of land resource has one of the major cause of poverty in India. Number 4. Many other social, cultural and economic factors also responsible for poverty. First is religious ceremonies. People in India, including very poor, spend a lot of money. B. Small farmers need money to buy agriculture inputs like seeds, fertilizer, pesticides, etc. Since poor people hardly have any saving, they borrow, unable to repay because of poverty. They became victims of indebtedness. So the high level of indebtedness is both the cause and effect of poverty. So students, here we mention some programs introduced by the government to alleviate poverty. First is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. Its aim to provide 100 days of wage employment to every household to ensure livelihood security in rural area. Second is National Food for Work Program NFWP 2004. Third is Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana PMRY in 1993. Fourth is Rural Employment Generation Program REGP in 1995. Fifth is Swaran Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana SGSY in 1999. Sixth is Pradhan Mantri Gramodyog Yojana PMGY in 2000. And last is Antyodaya Ann Yojana AAY. So students, here we will discuss some question answer. So students, first question is mention 5 features of urban poor. Answer is illiteracy, irregular employment, poor health, no sanitation and electricity, no access to safe drinking water. Next question is what is consumption limit for rural and urban poor? Answer is the consumption of 2400 calories for the rural person and 2100 calories for urban person in the consumption limit. Student, what is poverty line? The line dividing poor and non-poor on the basis of per capita income and expenditure is known as poverty line. Next question, mention the social group which is most vulnerable to poverty. Answer is scheduled tribe are the most vulnerable to poverty. Another question is mention 5 states having highest percentage of people below poverty line. Answer is Bihar, Odisha, Assam, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. Next question. Name 5 states having the least percentage of people below poverty line. Answer is Kerala, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, Delhi. Next question. MGNREGA stands for. Answer is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Next question. Social groups which are the most vulnerable to poverty are scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. So student, here we stop our part 1. We will meet again in part 2. Till then, bye-bye. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.